It's just my voice now. Just my voice now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Behind the Workflow, the podcast where we celebrate the invisible work that keeps businesses running and occasionally wonder how some businesses are running at all. Hello, automation addicts, workflow warriors, Monday.com fans, Power Automate explorers, Zapier enthusiasts, and everyone who's ever clicked turn on automation with way more confidence than they actually had. Welcome back to Behind the Workflow, the podcast where we pull back the curtain of business operations, laugh at the wonderfully weird things that happen behind the scenes, and celebrate the people who somehow keep everything running. I'm Melissa, business operations professional, workflow detective, recovering spreadsheet therapist, and someone who's learned that automation is a lot like owning a Roomba. When everything goes well, it's amazing. When it doesn't, you come home to complete chaos. And somehow the dog is involved. So grab your favorite snacks, grab your favorite refreshments, double check your workflows, and before you click save, let's talk about automation. But before we dive any deeper, into this topic, let's go to our corporate confession number 11. Let's start with the confession. Have you ever built an automation, watched it work perfectly, felt like an absolute genius, then 5 minutes later realized it had emailed the wrong people? Maybe not 400, hypothetically, of course. Suddenly, you're trying to remember, can emails be recalled? Can time be reversed? Can I quietly unplug the internet? Because once automation starts, it has absolutely no idea it made a mistake. It just keeps going like, oh, you wanted me to email everyone? Great, I'm incredibly efficient. Previously on Behind the Workflow last week, we talked about AI, the coworker who always has an answer, even when it's confidently wrong. This week, we're talking about AI's best friend, automation. Because once AI gives you the answer, automation makes sure the answer gets everywhere very quickly, sometimes a little too quickly. Here is the dream. When people hear the word automation, their eyes light up. We'll save time, we'll eliminate repetitive work. We'll never have to do this manually again. And honestly, sometimes that's exactly what happens. Throughout my career in business operations, I loved finding repetitive tasks and asking one simple question: why are we still doing this manually? If I found myself checking the same buttons every day, every week, every month, I knew there was probably a better way. Automation gave me a better way. One of my favorite parts of working in operations was improving processes. Not because I wanted to replace people, but because I wanted people spending time on work that actually mattered. If someone spends 2 hours every Friday copying information from one spreadsheet to another, that's not a good use of their talent. That's a process asking to be improved. I've worked with tools like Monday.com, Power Query, Power BI, forms, dashboards, and workflow automations that helped information move where it needed to go without someone babysitting it. When automation worked, it was beautiful. Reports updated faster, projects moved forward, people spent less time doing repetitive work and more time solving problems. That's what good automation looks like. Then reality shows up. Because here's the part nobody tells you: automation is incredibly obedient. It doesn't stop and think, it doesn't ask, Melissa, are you sure? It simply says, absolutely, and I'll do it immediately. So now let's meet automation. I like to imagine automation as the world's most enthusiastic intern. You say, when everyone fills out this form, automation interrupts. I got it. I'll create a task. I'll notify the team. I'll update the spreadsheet. I'll send an email. I'll create a calendar invite. I'll alert finance. I'll message marketing. I'll post it to teams. I'll water your plants. Wait, no. That last one is not supported yet. Automation never questions your instructions, even if your instructions are absolutely terrible. Let's talk about the domino effect it has. Here's something I have learned: bad processes don't become good because you automate them, they just become faster, bad processes. Imagine putting your GPS on the wrong destination, then driving faster. You're still lost, you just got there quicker. Automation works exactly the same way. If the process is broken, automation simply helps it fail at record speed. Well, it looks like we've got somebody entering the chat. Let's see who it is. Oh, it's Monday.com. Monday.com walks into the room looking all confident, colorful, very organized. It says, I can automate almost anything. I smile. I know, Monday.com says. What would you like me to do? I pause because I have learned something over the years. Just because a platform can automate something doesn't mean it should. It's just like somebody, if you know how to do something, that doesn't exactly mean you should go ahead and do it. Sometimes the best solution isn't another automation, it's fixing the process first. Oh, we've got another visitor entering our chat. Power Automate. Power Automate walks into the meeting carrying 27 connectors. Zapier follows behind holding another 1,000. They both smile. We can connect everything. Everything? Everything. Power Query whispers. Should we? One of my favorite automation rules is that I've always tried to follow: never automate confusion. If people don't understand the process, automating it won't make it clearer. You have to be able, when you automate, you have to be able to communicate with people of how this automation works, of how it's clear. If you can't teach them, then it's not a good process to begin with. It just makes confusion happen faster. Before I automated anything, I wanted answers to a few questions. Who owns the process? What starts it? What ends it? What happens if something goes wrong? Can someone else understand it? If we couldn't answer those questions, we weren't ready to automate. The silent hero. The best automations are actually kind of boring. So I like boring. Nobody notices them. Nobody applauds because an email was sent automatically. Nobody cheers because a task was created without anyone clicking a button. People simply assume that's how it's always worked. Honestly, That's my favorite kind of success: quiet, reliable, and invisible. One of automation's biggest weaknesses is they have one fatal flaw: it believes everything you tell it. So you must be very careful with what information you give it. If your spreadsheet says there are three different customers, automation believes there are three customers. If your workflow tells it to send an email, it sends the email. It doesn't question you. It doesn't hesitate. It doesn't whisper, maybe we should test this first. It simply salutes and marches forward, sometimes straight into disaster. My final thoughts on this are: one thing I've learned throughout the years in business operations is this: automation isn't about replacing people, it's about replacing repetitive work. The goal isn't fewer people, the goal is fewer repetitive clicks, fewer copy and paste afternoons, fewer tasks that make you wonder, didn't I just do this yesterday? When automation is built on a good process, it's incredible. When it's built on a bad process, well, let's just say things get interesting and chaotic. So before we wrap up, I would like you to tell me one of your funniest automations you've ever seen. Maybe an email went to the wrong person. Maybe someone accidentally created 500 tasks. Maybe a workflow got stuck in an infinite loop. Or maybe you built an automation that saved your team hours every week. Share your story, because every operations professional has at least one automation story they'll never forget. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Behind the Workflow. If today's episode made you laugh or reminded you to go check one of your automations, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with that coworker who still says we don't need to test it. Until next time, remember, automation is an incredible tool, but before you automate the process, make sure the process actually deserves to be automated, because a bad workflow with automation is still a bad workflow. It just happens a whole lot faster. I'll see you next week for our season finale.
It's just my voice now. Just my voice now.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to Behind the Workflow, the podcast where we celebrate the invisible work that keeps businesses running and occasionally wonder how some businesses are running at all.